Human trafficking is a modern day pandemic. My name is Tasha Chang and I'm the president of the Asian Real Estate Association of America. And our mission is to assist the AAPI community as a whole reach and obtain home ownership. However, they will never reach that if they themselves are slaves. That is why we created the Human Rights Awareness Chair. Casey Carr, take it away.
I am Casey Carr, incoming chair for human awareness for the Asian Real Estate Association of America. This is a subject that many people don't want to talk about, ignore, and sweep under the rug, but we're here to bring awareness.
I'm Jennifer Stevens. I make people aware of human trafficking. The only way to combat it is called awareness, protection, and prevention. So I've created a curriculum to push out to schools and partnered with Tasha to start this campaign. A lot of people think trafficking is just humans, but it's actually most people that traffic humans are trafficking fentanyl, drugs, and guns.
We are here to give a voice to the voiceless. Are you coming with me on the 20th to the 21st to the Petroleum Club for the U.S. Infrastructure and Energy Meetup?
Absolutely, 100% I'm going to be there.
Awesome. So what I need you to do is I'm going to get half of the room. I'm going to get all their contact info because we're going to need them for support for our campaign, to sponsorship for ARIA, and they need to buy houses, right? And I need you to get the other half of the room.
Absolutely. That's what I do. You know me.
What's your story?
I'll tell you about my husband. So I was married 2 times when I was 14 years old. So my father was from China and my mother was born here in Texas. She was Irish. But my father thought that because I was half white and half Chinese, I needed to redeem the family name and marry someone who was 100% Chinese so I could take over the family companies. I didn't agree with that. And I was 12 years old and I was like, I will choose my own husband and I'm willing to give up all the family money. I understand the consequences. I accept the consequences. Well, then so I go off and I marry the guy that I chose. His name was Javier. He was Mexican. He was not Chinese, not even white like my mom. And he was 16 years old. I was 14 years old. And he basically became, I saw him like my Prince Charming, really, because he saved me from, you know, a really terrible and traumatic childhood, right? But to me, I didn't think that I owed him anything. You know, like I'm appreciative that you want to go through life with me, but that's how I saw it. You want to go through life with me, you don't own me. And he saw it as, well, now we're married, you have to stay at home, you have to cook, I want you to drop out of school. And I refused to follow along with that, right? And so I kept going to school, like disobeying my husband. I didn't realize he had a girlfriend and his family knew about this. And I had just found out that I immediately, as soon as we got married, I immediately got pregnant. Just found out that I was pregnant. The same day I found out I'm pregnant, this little girl comes upstairs to my apartment because we were both given an apartment. She was given an apartment downstairs. I was given a 2-bedroom apartment upstairs. And he was just going in between the 2 apartments apparently, I guess. And she went upstairs one day and said, I know who you are. I'm Javier's girlfriend, and I just want you to know I'm pregnant with his son. And I was already pregnant too, but I refused to tell him because I knew if his family knew I was pregnant, they were going to force me to stay. And this judge, when we got married, his name was Michael, and he was just worried about me being so young and getting married so young. So he was like, "You're not married yet. You know, you're not being forced into this. You know, are you afraid for your life or anything?" And I was like, no, I love him. I want to get married. And then he explained to me that the first 90 days of marriage, I could legally get the marriage annulled if I changed my mind. And so I went back to him and I was like, hey, I think he married me to get his papers here in the U.S. He has a girlfriend right downstairs. I want to annul the marriage. So I had it annulled, had him deported. And then 6 months later, I remarried his friend.
6 months later?
Yes. And then we stayed married for 17 years. We had 2 more kids together. He was in and out of prison. I didn't realize that he had been an employee of my ex-husband and in my ex-husband's family. And so when I married him, he lost his employment and he would go back into his criminal ways to like pay the bills basically. And I didn't like that. I worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs, even though I was 14, 15 years old at the time. And I would try to push him into like becoming a manager or supervisor somewhere, but work just wasn't for him, right? He would He'd rather stay home and take care of the kids. So I was like, you know what, daycare is very expensive. I actually adopted my 2 sisters when I was 7 months pregnant with my daughter, with our second child. So even though biologically I was about to have 2 kids, I already had financial responsibility for 2 more, right? And my husband. So I was like, daycare is very expensive. Why don't you go ahead and stay home, since I'm good at, you know, keeping a stable job. And then when the kids are old enough to go to school, then you can go back to work. And I let him know that day, if you're not working by the time Xavier, my oldest son, is working, you're no longer needed. And so I'm going to divorce you. 17 years later, my son got a job. I filed for divorce and I moved out of the house.
Damn.
Yeah, and he still wasn't working, so I followed through with my promise. But he forgot that I said that. I never did. That's not my problem. And then, so I ended up dating. You know, I had been married my entire life. Lived with my boyfriend from the age of 12. Married him at 14. Divorced him. Married Edward, my second husband, the same year. So that was all I ever knew were those 2 husbands and being married. So I was never good at dating. I'm still not good at dating, right? And then I met my 3rd husband, and I thought, well, he has a master's degree in accounting. I dropped out of high school in 9th grade. You know, all I ever did was work, read, and raise kids. And really, it's just working. My ex-husband, you know, as much as I want to make him sound like a terrible person, he was an amazing father. And I wouldn't change anything. You know, I wouldn't have been able to go as far as I did if he didn't push me by doing nothing, right? And so because he refused to help in the house financially, I was strong enough to find out that I could hold a household financially. But he was a good provider for like emotional support for my kids, which is where I left off. That's where I failed, right? So I meet my next husband, Fernando, and I'm thinking, well, I want to redo my whole life. I want to, you know, have a baby, you know, where I can actually stay at home with the baby the first year and have like a functional family unit. And so I get pregnant, you know, we get married, I get pregnant. I'm 7 months pregnant once again, and my son is 19 years old, and he's learning how to drive for the first time on the highway. And it's sprinkling, right? So we get on the highway, and I tell him, check your blind spot. And then he gives an attitude with me saying, I know what I'm doing. Well, within those few seconds of him talking back to me and not actually looking, he almost hit a car. And then he swerves to avoid the car. He hydroplanes, and then a car hits our tail end of our car. And then we just start spinning out of control. We slam going 70 miles an hour into the retainer wall of I-35. And I mean, it just happened within a matter of seconds. He broke the steering wheel with his face. It landed in his lap. He's covered, the whole front seat is covered in blood because he broke his nose and it won't stop spouting out blood. He's telling me that he can't see, he's blind. I'm panicking, only thinking about him because I also see the whole front end of the car is now on both of our laps. And he's like, I can't move my leg. And so he had broke his knee, he broke his Adam's apple, he broke his nose, suffered a very severe concussion, which he is 3 years later still healing from today. He couldn't leave the house for a year straight because any light would give him seizures, nausea. It would just hurt his brain because it was so swollen from the car accident, right? Well, I didn't realize I had fractured my spine in 2 places. I had a severe concussion, and I had, you know, some bruises here and there, right? And I'm getting an attitude with the EMS drivers. I was like, leave me alone. I feel fine. Help my son. Well, then I'm trying to turn my body to get out of the car. You know, I can't move. And I'm like, hey, like, I can't move my legs. And they're like, stop moving your body. Don't move your body. And at that point, they bring in a stretcher. And then I didn't see my son for maybe a few months after that because I was confined into bed. I couldn't move. I couldn't turn my body. The only thing I could turn was my hands and my neck. But everything down, I couldn't move. Like, I couldn't roll over, couldn't go to use the restroom by myself. 100% dependent on everyone. And I am someone who has never been dependent on anyone. So this is immediately a problem. And then now I'm with my husband, you know, and he is the only one who can take care of me. You know, he has to physically lift me up, take me to the bathroom. He has to change me. He has to give me like sponge baths. And he's upset because I lost my baby. And he's now blaming my son that he tried to kill me and he killed our baby. He keeps on talking about this, right? And so my son calls me one day. Granted, I haven't seen him because I can't move and he can't come downstairs to see me in months. And so we can only talk to each other on the phone. And he's really depressed because he thinks that he ruined everyone's life, and you know, he doesn't want to live anymore. And then I decided, you're not a problem. God doesn't make mistakes. You know, we are meant to be in this predicament right now. I may not be able to walk in this moment, but I guarantee you I will. And you didn't ruin anything. Every single thing happens for a reason. And what I think this happened for is to kick him out. So I called up my second ex-husband and I was like, hey, Fernando's at work. That car that he's driving is under my name. I want you to, because he also owned a mechanic shop, right? So he has all these tow trucks, and I'm like, this is the address it is. This is the license plate for the car. Go pick up the car, drop it off to the house. I want my older son to have the car now. I need you to come and take all of his stuff out of my house, take it to his mom's house. This is the address. I need you to change every single lock on the door. Let me know when you've done that. I've already filed for divorce on the website online. And that's how my husband found out that we were divorcing, and I never let him in my house again. I even paid my second husband to move in with me, $3,000 a month, to physically take care of me and my son, because what my son needed in that time was the emotional support that I could never provide.
And that's your son's father, right?
Yeah, he needed his father. And that was what healed us. I actually, as much as I hate him, I needed him too. I needed someone who wasn't going to complain about taking care of us. Don't try to make me feel bad because I can't move. Because wait until I get up. It's just a matter of time. And the doctors kept saying, well, you may never walk again, especially if you keep pushing yourself. If you fall the wrong way or something, you could permanently paralyze yourself. And I'm like, I refuse to sit there and lose all my muscles. They had cut, in order to get to the places in my spine to fuse it, they had cut my core, my stomach open, and removed my organs, and then cleaned out my disc and, fused my spine. And then they sewed everything back up again. And so now I have lost every muscle in my spine, right? I've lost every muscle in my stomach. So even to sit up straight was hard, right? And they're telling me you need to just stay still, stay at bed rest. I'm not someone who can sit still, right? I can't sit idly. So even if I'm paralyzed, I'm going to find a way to move and to get away. So I ordered elliptical, had it installed in my bedroom, and every single day my son would, once he was able to walk again, would come and help me get out of the bed, get to this elliptical. And it was my goal to just walk on the elliptical for 60 seconds, just 1 minute. And on this elliptical, there was a screen, there was a monitor with a trainer who actually had a voice like yours, and he would go on these tours, these hiking tours all around the world. One place was Maui. He would hike up the mountains, he would hike up waterfalls, he would hike in these volcanoes. And I started covering my eyes with this blindfold and just listening to him, not looking at the screen, but listening to him. And I could smell, the air, I could smell the salt water, I could smell the volcanic ash. And then I started envisioning myself literally there and not feeling the pain, not recognizing the pain that I was feeling and trying to walk up there. I was trying to envision myself actually being there. And then as soon as I was able to physically walk, I literally booked a trip to Maui, and now I go every 4 months, and every single trail.
4 months?
Yeah, and every single trail that I walked on the elliptical, I have walked in real life.
Oh wow, so the power of visualization kind of saved your life. Do you think it helped?
100%. It was 100% God. It wasn't the power of visualization. It was prayer and having faith and knowing that I was already healed. What I was experiencing right then and there was just temporary. I was only physically broken. My spirit wasn't broken. God was there with me. He was just giving me this obstacle to overcome so I would be ready for whatever I had to fight next. So he knows that I have to be a badass, right? So he's always keeping me on my toes.
So you must be the hottest woman in the world then.
I'm very mean. Or I can be. I'm known as the Dragon Lady. So they tried to put my son in the special needs class, right? And saying that he was, he was slower than the other kids.
That was me.
That was me too. Well, the problem was he was dyslexic, but nobody knew that, right? And they didn't want to address the situation. They wanted to kind of put a Band-Aid on it, right? And just put him with any other category instead of finding out what my son's issues were and what is his learning ability, right? What is his learning style? So I paid to send him to the specialist, to Sylvan, and they tested him. And they put him through all of these tests to find out what his challenges were, what his disabilities were. And we found out that he was dyslexic. While we were testing him, I started arguing with the doctor. I didn't realize he started testing me because I'm like, my son is getting all those questions right. You're wrong. And he's like, really? What's the answer to this? What's the answer to this? And he wouldn't let my son answer. He started questioning me. He was like, you're dyslexic. I had no idea I was dyslexic my entire life. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then so I actually did a full test. And yeah, I was 100% dyslexic. And then we found out that both of my sons were dyslexic. And the one thing that I told my son, because I remember him being upset about this diagnosis, because now he had a 501c3 chart, and he was like, Mom, the school was right. I am a special needs kid. And I'm like, no, you're special, all right, but the dyslexia is a superpower. The fact that I had it my entire life and I make more money than every single teacher that tried to tell me that I was dumb tells me something. It tells me that you're smarter than them. Okay, so this is your superpower. I need you to embrace it and pretend like you never had it. Now you have the tools. You know you had it, right? Now you have the tools. You know what the issues are to overcome. The next step is overcoming that, because now you're going to be challenged with the task of using both sides of your brain. You are 100% using one side of it. We're not the typical people who have the benefit of just working with one side, right? We're overthinking everything because we're using both sides, and the synapses are firing back and forth. So let's utilize that, embrace it, and let's build an empire on it. And so now they're the hardest working kids you'd ever seen. He's going to school doing a double major for architectural engineering at Texas A&M, civil engineering, and he's a sous chef for iPic Movie Theater at the same time. And then my other son is a computer engineer and a security guard. He builds gaming computers for Bitcoin mining and gaming computers for, like, really it's just a bunch of nerdy adults that are in their late 20s, and they spend like $15,000 on a computer. But he builds these out of his own brain. He comes up with an idea, comes up with the plans for it, and he puts it together. That is not a dumb kid.
Not at all.
No.
Then?
We're going to True Food. They have a lot of healthy options, but everything there is so good. Welcome to the domain. This is my stomping grounds. This is literally where I live, my second home. So right here is a fireplace in the evenings. They have little chess boards right here. When my kids were little, we used to come out here every single weekend, get hot chocolate, and sit next to the fireplace. Here.
20 unit in Houston.
Okay.
Okay. And it is like 1.3 is what it is.
8.6%.
I believe, yeah. So that's pretty decent, right?
And this is the retail shopping center that's owned by... Okay. Well, let me give him these,
that's
and then...
16 units, so that's a possibility too.
Okay.
But the only difference is...
Welcome to True Food. Follow me. Hey guys. 2. Inside, okay? Inside. Okay. You enjoy. Thank you.
How do you make your money?
I do a little bit of everything. I live on this phone. This is how I make money. All day long, when it looks like I'm talking to my friends, I am not. I am working on deals. I'm selling portfolio listings. Right now, the main thing that I'm selling are wholesale contracts of entire neighborhoods, entire subdivisions. 22 brand new D.R. Horton homes out in Houston to one buyer who's going to buy this subdivision and never put it back on the market again. They're just going to rent it back out to the open public the next couple of years, right? I manage about 1,200 agents in the state of Texas. I charge 20% for mentorship fee for each of their contracts. And so if I'm not talking to one of my investors putting together one of my deals, helping one of my agents formulate and put together their deals, right? I have a large team of producing agents here in Texas. Thank you. And I provide buyer leads for these clients, for these agents. My agents are basically my clients, right? And so they pair the buyer with a listing. I'm also working on listing leads from my agents as well. And then when they close on that deal, I get 40% of whatever they bring in. I have a multitude of revenue streams that come in basically, but pretty much all of them are from real estate. You know, I get paid for home warranty, every home warranty that gets applied to the house, CE classes, whenever a realtor or an LO needs to continue their education so they keep their license active, I get a portion of the proceeds from that. Angel AI, I have a mortgage company. I have a team of LOs that are constantly processing loans. So every aspect of real estate, I have found a way to profit off of them. And for me, I don't limit myself because I don't like limits, right? So I don't limit myself just to my agents right here with LPT. If you're a licensed agent in the state of Texas, I want to benefit off of you, right? And so if you need to continue your education with CE classes, I'm going to send you the link so you can do that. If you need title, if you need home warranty, you don't have to be with LPT Realty. You know, I will still help you out and I will still benefit from it financially. I have something that everybody makes fun of me of. I have maybe the oldest real estate team out of everybody. Almost all of my agents are 55 and over, right? And for me, I noticed that a lot of people kind of discard them. You know, the 55 and over, they're not, you know, hip on like technology, emails. It's harder for them to understand the way of life today, modernized, you know, technology, right? AI capabilities. And most people want the young guns, the rock stars who can just jump out, they embrace the technology, they can in fact teach you about it, and then they're taken off to the next level. But then I see this group of people being left behind. And for me, I'm like, come to me. I will take care of you. I will find a way to elevate you guys, you know? And what I've noticed is these older people who are the fabric of our society, they should be respected. They should always be cared for and elevated and respected in society. They're forgotten, right? And so they're not, no one's pushing them to teach them about their retirement needs. No one is teaching them how to take care of themselves, and no one cares enough to take care of them, to hold their hand and say, you need to put money up for tomorrow, right? And so what I'm trying to do is build a company that is going to do that for them. You know, they have this employee mentality where in the old days, their businesses or companies took care of a hardworking employee, and all they had to do was go to work and earn a paycheck, right? And then the retirement was sitting there for them. That's no longer the case, especially not in real estate. We are all self-employed, we're 1099. If you are not saving for your retirement, no one will do it for you, right? And so I want to bring in a investment vehicle for my company where you can have the option to elect passive income to go to this retirement account for you. It can be an annuity, it can be a 401k, a Roth IRA, whatever the retirement vehicle is. I really like whole life insurance because then I can utilize that for purchasing houses and other investments that are tax-free, but that's a whole nother conversation, right? But these are things that these amazing agents should know about, you know? And I feel like it's my duty to bring it in and introduce them to it. And it's up to them if they're gonna move forward with it or not. But I wanna give them the tools to succeed and so they can reach retirement. I don't wanna see them working their entire life. That's incredible. You gotta taste it. Balsamic vinegar, amazing, roasted Brussels sprouts, olive oil, lemon juice, and a little bit of spice. So I thought that I should have a regular 9-to-5 job and go to work every single day and bring home a paycheck to provide for my kids, right? I thought that I was doing the right thing by going to work every single thing, but the world kept fighting back and kept firing me from my jobs, right? Because I was a terrible employee and they kept redirecting me on the path that I was meant to be on. And what I knew inside, what I'd always talk about to them actually became truth, right? I always tell my bosses, look, I'm a terrible employee because I'm meant to own the building we're standing in. I'm meant to be your boss, and one day I will be your boss. And today I look back and I am. I'm making way more money than anyone who ever fired me before. And now I'm in a position to not feel like I have power over them, but I sympathize with them. I understand the struggle that they went through because I was in their shoes before. But those shoes weren't meant for me to wear for very long. I was only meant to be in them to understand the path that they were going down so I could sympathize with them, right? But I had to do that. God doesn't make mistakes. He put me there for a reason, and then he made me get fired for a reason. He redirected my path because I didn't know. I didn't see the bigger picture, but he always sees a bigger picture. And so I just had to trust in God. There was never a time where I thought I would be managing a lot of agents. I never thought I would have a team. I never thought that I would be managing anyone, right? It just fell into my lap. Just like working on people's brand just fell into your lap. Because no matter what we think we should be doing, God is always going to redirect us into the path that he wants us to be in. And then that's where we're going to go. Can't wait to try it. I can't describe it. It's like an earthy flavor. I can't describe this one. Life is about your mindset. You have to be a beast as soon as you open that front door. So leave all your personal issues, all of your heart that you want to wear on your shoulder, leave that behind the closed door at home. As soon as you open the door and you cross through it, you leave all that shit behind and you're the beast, and you got to focus the world head on, whatever that may be. If it is going to work, if you got to train somebody, you're headed to a meeting, you are now focused on that business. Anything else that is happening behind that closed door, leave it there. That is history. We would climb up onto the roof of my grandma's house, and we would watch all these parachutists, like hundreds of these parachuters coming in, and they would land right here in that open field. And then now there's nothing but rows and rows of houses and subdivisions, and now I sell this. If my grandmother was alive right now, she would kill me 100%. In here, I had all 5 of my kids, and then I was just married with my husband, who also had a daughter who was a teenager. So there were 6 kids, 7 if you count the husband, right? So, so we had a big house, right? So this first house was like 5,500 square feet, had, you know, two stories, 6 bedrooms, 5.5 bathrooms. So it was a really big house. And then when we divorced, I moved into a rental house that was so tiny. It was like 2,700 square feet and 4 bedrooms and like 3.5 baths. And then I just couldn't live like that anymore. So I bought the house that we live in now, and it's 3,500 square feet. It's like in the middle. It's bigger than the house that I rented, but smaller than this one.
When was this? What year?
Oh man, I don't remember. Okay, so I bought my house 2 years ago. We lived in the rental house for maybe 2 years, and then we lived in this house for, I think, 7 years. So that was my old house.
That's a nice house.
Thank you. So
Wow.
I sold almost every house in this street. All of these were my neighbor.
All of this?
This was my second house here when I was recovering from my spinal injury.
This one?
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah, it was cute. It was small. And then every day I would walk up and down this street so that I would regain my core again until I made it to the pond down the street. Welcome to my home. Let me give you the tour. We did not tidy up before anyone came, so just excuse the mess, you'll live. This is my messy dining room. This is an old farm table that was, it was actual farm in Hutto. The table legs are made from the window sills of the barn, and I had it turned into my dining table when we were flipping that house. This is my office. This is where all the magic is made.
Oh wow, look at this. All the books.
So one thing that people don't know is I have written a few books. And these are some of my books.
Oh, you look at that. Where can we buy them?
Oh gosh, I don't think I even have them for sale anywhere. They used to be on Amazon and at Half Price Books. They probably still are. This is my living room. I have no idea what my bedroom or my bathroom looks like. But you can see it, but I don't want to record it. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So I painted, as soon as I moved in, all of these were pine colored. So I painted this white and then the bottom blue. My kids did not clean up the kitchen. But this is why I bought the house, is because of the the 6-burner stove and then 2 ovens, because I absolutely love to cook. And so when I'm cooking, every single surface and every oven is being used. The only thing never being used is a microwave. I don't know what the purpose of it is. And then I'll show you my bedroom. I know it's a mess though. Okay, so this is my room.
Is this your room?
But don't post this anywhere. This is my bathroom. And then this is my favorite room in the whole house. I had this Tiffany style lamp put into my closet. This is why I bought the house. And the kitchen.
Because of this.
My closet, yeah.
Amazing.
So
much space in here.
So when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, I used to model a lot, and I would negotiate to keep my fur coats. And so I've had these coats, some of these coats for like 20 years. My absolute favorite is this one. I used to wear this when I was in Alaska.
We need to do a photo shoot with these on before it gets too hot.
Yes, definitely. And then I have my Nike one. Just do it. That's my motto I live by.
I say that all the time.
Just do it.
Just do it.
As soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, I don't need it, but I have to get it because it's literally my motto. Glass shower. It was like very cheap, flimsy glass, and I had all of it ripped up before I moved in and had them put up the marble tile so I could have a stand-up shower. And then changed all the tile in the bathtub too to match, because it was all this brown. So next, I will be changing all of this tile to match that tile. And then I just had all this repainted blue as well. And then this bathroom blue. I don't know what I'm going to paint the bedrooms yet, or the rest of the house yet.
Her bed, right?
Oh yeah, this is her home. I just visit. She's the star of the show.
So what's going on? Nice office you got there.
Thank you. This is my home. So here's our camera crew today.
Hey, that's amazing. Congratulations. You are an inspiration.
Thank you.
I really believe that our products change lives because I just did a video on how we can secure retirement.